Joining me now with detailed analysis is defense attorney and former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Jeremy Saland. Jeremy, great to see you. Let's talk about this indictment. It's a 3-count indictment: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Talk, if you would, about the severity of these charges as well as the time that they could possibly carry if he were to be found guilty.
You hit the nail on the head. Severity is the proper term. I mean, these are incredibly serious charges. Anytime you involve human trafficking, and when there's a possible enhancement, as there is here, he's looking just on that charge alone a minimum of 15 years and can get, in fact, up to life in prison. The racketeering is centered around sort of this criminal enterprise, which we can discuss if you'd like. Basically, that he can get similar time, not life, but that 15 years as well. And then the other charge is not as serious, but up to 10 years in prison. And, when people say not as serious, like I just used, any term of incarceration or potential is real. And for him, it's incredibly, incredibly grave.
Let's talk about, you mentioned criminal enterprise. What do prosecutors in that case need to prove in order to establish that?
So a criminal enterprise is not just a loose-knit group of people. We'll call it a business or a crew that's a little tighter than that, where there's structure to it. There's a boss, if you will. It doesn't have to be the way we think of a RICO with enterprises with, the mob or something like that, but it's the same concept, and it can come in many forms. And they share a common goal. And in this case, unlike a legitimate business, this enterprise is sharing an unlawful goal, and united in that effort and stratified from that boss, if you will, on down, that boss allegedly being P. Diddy or Sean Combs on down, trafficking these women with, as alleged, with force and violence and drugs and things like that. So that is the theme here, and that's what that enterprise would be.
And when you say on down, would that mean that you expect other charges, or that potentially other people who may have worked with him in the past or have now turned state's witness and will be testifying for the prosecution in your expectation?
I would not be shocked. I mean, we know that the search warrant recovered a lot of evidence. We know that there's digital or recorded evidence. We know there's been a lawsuit back, I believe it was stemming from 2016. And we also know, last but not least, certainly not last actually, but we know from the indictment that there was people working there. There was different layers of people who worked for Sean Combs who were witnesses to this. So it would not shock me at all that beyond maybe a wire, beyond the evidence from the search warrant, that someone is cooperating and saying, I saw something, don't come after me. These are all the bad things that I saw, and here's proof in text, here's proof in emails, whatever it may be, videos that demonstrate what happened.
And some of these charges are tied to allegations that date back 15 years. Is there any statute of limitations that would come into play here?
Generally speaking, barring some exception, it's a 5-year statute of limitations. But there's certain things, we use the term toll or stop that clock from ticking, that happen and occur in these prosecutions. So for example, if Sean Combs was out of the country for an extended period of time, that could stop the clock from ticking. There's ways when the federal government tries to secure evidence and materials overseas, I won't go into the details of it, but they make an application, and up to 3 years, that can stop the clock from ticking from the time you make the request until the time you receive that evidence and those materials. So there's many things that we don't know about. If there were children victims, it could extend the time as well. That's not alleged here, but there's many things we don't know about that certainly could be part of this puzzle here for the statute of limitations.
And when you look at this indictment, I mean, the U.S. attorney is calling him a danger to the community. For his part, he has pleaded not guilty. What type of defense do you expect him to put up to fight these charges?
I think based on what we're seeing already, I imagine this is a very strong case. The evidence is there, but he's certainly not going to roll over. First of all, he showed up. He came to his arraignment. He came to court and understanding what he's facing. He's not running away. He's a man of ample means. Why would he pay for these women? Why would he do this? He can do this on his own. They have an agenda. They want money from him. And then what the defense might try to do is say, you know what, give us a trial quickly. You have a lot of witnesses potentially. You have a lot of evidence. I'm going to sort of bum rush you, for lack of a better term, to say, let's have a trial within a few months' time, and there's statutes and things that can dictate that. Let's move this forward as quickly as we can. But, we don't know what the evidence is. So it's hard to say all the defenses, but we know the search warrants. I would expect there's people cooperating. There could very well be wire information. So there's a lot of things he has to overcome. but he has no alternative. This is not a case where there's going to be an offer that he's going to be willing to accept. This is his life and his future.
Defense attorney and former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Jeremy Saland, always appreciate your insight. Thank you.
My pleasure.